good. So here we go. We have the official recording in progress. It's awesome. And it looks like it's all filled out. June Wellness Week. Do we want to have something else at the top for the title?
Just say like, yeah, day 1 of June Wellness Week. Chatting about main support people.
Okay. Main support people. The importance of, I think that's good.
Perfect. Let's
Okay,
do
good.
it.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on.
You're good.
Copy and paste and do that and that. Good. Awesome. Okay, here we go to a group and to Epic. All right. So I think, according to the powers that be, I think that we're streaming now. It says we're streaming, but Facebook hasn't pulled it up yet. So I'm going to wait for Facebook to pull it up.
I think that's wise.
Yeah. But I do think that we're live. So we could, if we could do like some kind of background juggling, it would be great to fill the time. Oh, perfect. Here we are. Yep, we're going. We're good.
Sweet.
We're good.
Okay, I'll kick us off here then. Go from there. So everybody, welcome to this month's Wellness Week, the Epic 5 Plan Community Facebook group. And just want to, as always, just say thank you guys for being a part of this group, because that means that you are supporting being a part of a group that is seeking help with each other, seeking answers to things that maybe you don't have answers to yet. And it's our hope that, as time goes on, that you guys just feel like this can be a welcoming, a very welcome environment and group to be able, a safe place that you can ask questions, share comments, supporting each other. And it's our hope that this week's Wellness Week inspires you in some ways with considering what could be your next step or steps, plural, with growing in your health and well-being. So without further ado, we're going to make kind of the main theme of this week really is, we're kind of looking at what are some fun things about the month of June, like national days or things like that, kind of like what we did for the month of May with Mental Health Awareness Month, that kind of thing. And one of the things is, I'm forgetting the specific name of it. It's June 12th, is it, Natalie?
Yeah, it is Family Health and Fitness Day on June 12th.
Yeah, that's right. And so kind of in the spirit of that day, theming a lot of our time this week, looking at how we thread in the support and involvement of other people in our lives, in our health journey. As we all know, I think we're all relational beings that we thrive when we're not alone and not isolated. I think all of us can appreciate that even more to the degree after COVID this past year, and really seeing it play out in some very, severe ways. And so today we're going to be talking about the importance of what we call at Epic the main support person. And that is somebody that you're intentionally designating to be there to help support you, keep you accountable when it comes to your health and wellness goals. And it could be many people, but at least we have at least one person. And so we're just going to chat today. I'm Health Coach Dan. We got Health Coach Natalie, and then Dr. Jason Bradley to just chat through this today and hope give you guys some thoughts on how you can approach better establishing that relationship or creating a new one if you feel like this is an area lacking in your life that you and hopefully see the benefit from it. So we'll just jump in. We're going to talk about what are some of the qualities you want in a main support person. It's not always necessarily just going to be whoever your best friend is. It could be, but there's specific qualities that definitely make it different. And also, what about when we don't live with or near that support person? Maybe they're far away, but we keep in touch with them virtually. What could that look like? So we're just going to jump into that. But to start off with,
Dan, before we jump in, I just wanted to quickly just say if anybody has any comments or questions, throw them into the comments, and we're going to try to cover those in real time as well. And this can be as interactive as we want it to be, and certainly, hopefully, as supportive as we can make it.
Absolutely.
Also, Dan, I'm happy to share the agreement too while you kind of intro us into it as well, or just let me know when that'd be helpful.
That sounds good. Well, we have some initial notes in our outline, but just throwing it out there to the group. So Natalie, Dr. Bradley, if you were to think of all the different qualities of here's an important quality in a main support person. What in your gut is like the first thing that jumps out to you as maybe the most important, or at least a very important one in your mind?
I would say empathy. So it's a couple: empathy, curiosity, and lack of judgment. Lack of judgment is a big one. Health journey or whatever kind of progression or healing you're going through, it is just not always going to be easy, and there's going to be hard days and exciting days, and to have someone that is not going to judge you if you're not doing everything perfectly, someone that's not going to add more stress and just I guess kind of judgment. We're already pretty hard on ourselves, and so having someone that's non-judgmental and trying to understand where you're coming from, that's a really really big one. A
That's
big
great.
couple.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Dr. Bradley?
I'll just second that for sure. And I would just add in also someone that listens. I think that a lot of times, we have a lot of dialogue that we have, chattering in our brains all the time, telling us lots of different stories and lots of different narratives. And, we are the hardest critics, like we were saying, like Natalie was kind of alluding to, we're the hardest critics on ourselves. And the last thing that we need is more judgment, because God knows we judge ourselves enough. But I think having that sympathetic, empathetic ear to just talk with somebody and just have them listen and hear us and understand us and just be there in that non-judgmental way. I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. The lack of judgment's huge for sure. And listening, I think that's where actually I think I can already see a great plug-in for talking about the main support person agreement. Natalie, if you want to share that on the screen.
Sure thing. Let's do it.
So if we go into establishing somebody who's going to be our main support person, or we'd like to be that role in our lives or in our health goals, they might be great at it, but with just a few tweaks or initial touch points of communication understanding between each other on how you want that to play out can make all the difference. As health coaches like Renali and I, Dr. Bradley too, in his work with clients, we have official training, let alone just our personalities or past life experiences on the importance of being non-judgmental and listening and asking questions. Try to help the person process things, come to their own conclusions instead of us just spewing out suggestions that were unsolicited. But most people don't know that or don't gravitate toward that. Even I have to be careful. It's like there's the classic you have a husband and a wife and they're chatting and it's like, I just want you to listen, and the other's trying to I want to fix the problem, and it's like sometimes I don't need the problem to be fixed. I just need somebody to listen to me and know that they understand, sometimes. And so we have here, Natalie just posted for us on the screen, main support person agreement. So this is just a handout that Epic we created as a tool or aid for clients if they wanted to use it. But sometimes it can really help to, I think with people who want to support us in our lives, our friends, our family, maybe a coworker you have a great relationship with. I mean, it could be all kinds of people. They want to help, and it can feel just as tough on them as it is for us when they feel unsure of what that help looks like or what you want it to look like. It can create its own source of conflict, which is the last thing we want, in a supportive relationship with each other. And so sometimes it can help to have something concrete of like, hey, here are the things that I want your help in. This is how we will go about doing that together, whether how we communicate or even just going over, hey, the most important things for me aren't necessarily always having the solution, but somebody who can listen to me, not be judgmental and give me encouragement, all of those things. And there's going to be things that you don't need and things that you will need. And so just being able to have a conversation with each other on that can really help cement, okay, I know as a support person, I know I am not bugging my friend too much, if I check in this amount of time, because we talked about that they want me to check in or bring this up, this often in the week or heck in a day or in the month. Even just little nuances like that make all the difference. So
I agree. And I think, yeah, really a big part of the main sport person agreement is making sure that everybody is on the same page in terms of expectations. Because if, you have all of these huge high expectations for your main sport person and how they're, you know, how they should help you, I mean, it can be, potentially overwhelming for that person. So really just, figuring out what they're comfortable with, figuring out what would be most helpful for you. And also it's a collaborative effort. It's not that they are just helping you. I think a cool part of this is you're building that together, and regardless of what's going on in their life, you can also, which I like this part too, so you can also offer them a listening ear. You can remind them of their strengths and celebrate their progress too. It's not meant to be like a one-sided um interaction, I guess.
yeah.
And I just wanted to add really quickly too, that a lot of times I think that, and I know that Dan mentioned it could be, a spouse, a partner, a friend, I mean, a colleague, I mean, whoever you feel comfortable with. But I think a lot of us gravitate toward that spouse or partner person just because it seems to make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we'll chat more about this, but sometimes that actually becomes more of a complicating role than one would think. I would say after doing this for 22 years, I'm no longer surprised, but when we start to have our clients chat with their spouses about, what's actually going on and how they can be, supported and the support that they need, and then vice versa. Sometimes it's the first type of conversation they've had like that ever, even if they've been together for a very long time. And I just want to point out that sometimes when it is the spouse, those can be hard conversations, to even just start with. But honestly, I think that collectively we would probably agree that once that conversation is opened and once we've made some progress there, it's very freeing, it's disburdening, and it's just nice to get on the same page. And I really like this agreement that we came up with to help folks get on that page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if for whatever reason, a situation were to happen where, you as a person who needs some support in your health and you have a main support person, you guys have had that conversation, and let's say down the road, the support or communication isn't quite what you're hoping it would be, and you can always go back to this agreement, even whether you chose to just sign off on it together, kind of create a formality that can create help with intention, or even just having something in writing, even if it's not signed off. Just even remind yourself like, oh, you know what? Actually, maybe I'm creating imposing expectations on my main support person that are beyond what we discussed, and I have to revisit this. So it can go both ways, which is really valuable. And so I think it helps to foster not only to get the best help and support you're looking for,
Mhm.
but to also have a healthier relationship there
Yeah.
too, because that's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for
One
it.
other thing I wanted to throw out there too, real quick.
You're good.
Natalie, I love what you said, pointed out in this handout. You can stop the screen share. Well, I'll point out in this, and then you can stop the screen
Okay.
share for a moment. But when you said, this can go two ways, that
Yeah.
you can also offer a listening ear to your main support person, and helping them along. So that's where you can stop the share if you want, just for now.
Mhm.
Um, Talking about what could be kind of skipping ahead a bit in our conversation to, well, what could we do to establish support when we don't live with or near that person?
Mhm.
What if it is we do a video call or phone or something? Could that work? And I say yeah. And I think about one client we've worked with before. Jean, she set up something with a good friend of hers, where they're like, you know what, it'd be great to just catch up more anyway. And then, hey, with that, we can create an intention of, she'll be my main support person, and they had an agreement with each other, understanding, I should say, between each other. Hey, let's even put in our calendar that every 2 weeks, actually once a month. So it wasn't that huge of a commitment or anything, but once a month, we're gonna touch base for like an hour-long phone call, and half an hour of it will be more of one person sharing what's going on in their life, asking for help, thoughts, things like that. And then the other person got about a half hour to share some things on their end. And so it was a mutual give and take, um, uh, a give and take communication there, because I know something that can be hard for both, us needing help and those wanting to help us is if it's a one-way street of support, depending on the severity of the level of support needed or how long it goes on, that can be it can be hard for us needing support because we feel like we're being a burden on others. So we might not want to reach out to them as much. And then on the flip side, that support person might feel drained, like, hey, I want to help you, but it's also hard, versus if it's two-way, then it could be mutually supportive and less of that scenario playing out. So I thought that was cool how Jean went about doing it. And then it worked out because it's like once a month, had a health coach appointment. And so it was like every couple of weeks having somebody to touch base with. And it wasn't always just the health coach, because some people might feel more comfortable sharing certain things with somebody who's known them for a while, even if it's not their health coach. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I like that. And that's a part of our agreement too. There's a part of it that mentions, what's going to be your primary mode of communication? Is there a day or time or would it be helpful for you guys to actually schedule something in, like this day, this time, we're going to chat? And I think, again, that just helps like clear up the expectations on both ends when you're doing it that way. And yeah, I think that can be really helpful, again, just to avoid the burden on one person or the other. What do you think, Dr. B?
No, I just wanted to agree with that as well. And I think, just coming out of the annual International Conference for Functional Medicine, which, was fantastic last week and had some amazing speakers, they really emphasize that, especially for folks in this group and, our clients that have really struggled and suffered with chronic illnesses and diseases and disorders, sometimes for years, sometimes decades before, they meet us, that it can feel that you're very alone. It can feel that, you don't want to say anything to anybody because it seems like you're always just talking about how tired you are, or that you just can't lose weight and that you have headaches and brain fog and libido's in the toilet. And you start to feel, again, it's that internal dialogue, that internal narrative where you're telling yourself, nobody wants to hear this anymore. And it's really nice to find that safe space, that safe spot, to have that outlet and make sure that, again, you have that agreement, which is nice, so you've had somebody agree to listen to you, which is awesome. I mean, how cool is that? And, I like that at Epic, we combine our health coaching and our doctoring and our support that we have there, along with helping our clients create that network of safety, that safety net of people around them, or at least one person around them that will be there through thick and thin, that's agreed to, help. And then I love that we help reciprocate that as well, that it's not just that one-sided dialogue. And then when you start to give and listen yourself, you start to feel better about sharing, and it becomes this, a momentum almost of healing, at least that internal dialogue again, and having that outlet and being that outlet.
Definitely. There is something about, kind of going along the lines of what you said, and both of you guys said, about even just being heard, let alone understood. There was, as Natalie and I were chatting earlier before, planning this wellness week, there was this awesome quote I read that I can't remember at all. And so it's like, I can't even do a paraphrase of it to do it justice. It's frustrating, but I just remember it was like the power of being understood. And I remember it was one of those things, you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, so well put, concisely said, and so true. But anyway, so I thought of that, and I was just looked, I'm going to just briefly mention this article here. It's just from Psychology Today, and I don't know this psychologist, but it's Dr. Leon Seitzer. But it's kind of catchy title. It says, "Feeling understood, even more important than feeling loved." So it just kind of goes through what are some 10 reasons for why being understood is so important to us just as human beings and to our well-being. I'll just kind of read them off real quick, but if you guys want to check out the article where I found it, we always kind of put together a list of resources, links, things we refer to in these week wellness weeks or challenges, by encouraging you guys to just write some comments to our question or challenge of the week. So that's where you can get this. But the first one says you're known. The second is your identity is confirmed. Number 3, kind of relating to the first 2, you exist. Like if you think about it, it sounds obvious, but at the same time, it's so like, what if you weren't, if you said you're not known, you're not confirmed, you don't exist. Like how crappy that would feel, right? So we know that's really important. Number 4 is you belong. The article kind of explains a little bit more about these things. Number 5, you feel part of something larger than yourself. When you get to talk to other people, it's not just about everything that's going on in your head. You can kind of branch out beyond that, which can be freeing. You're accepted, you're understood. And then number 7, you're, uh-oh, we lost Natalie.
We're still here.
Okay, oh, we're still here. There we go. You're empowered. Number 8, you understand yourself better, which I think is kind of cool. And I know for me, as an external processor, that's very true. I need somebody I can talk to even figure myself out. I'm like, blah, and they're just like, and I'm like, man, you helped so much. And they're like, I didn't say a thing. So that happens. Then the last couple, it says you experience more satisfaction in relationships, and you're also shielded from the depths of depression. So there's definitely a lot more to the details of those 10 things, but just thought I'd share that as well. Even if that person doesn't give solutions, just being understood can help with all of those things.
Well, I think that, when I talk with people, either in the public or certainly with our clients when I first get to know them, I think that really the one take home the two take homes that I'll leave kind of in response to this article is that number one, people start to feel crazy. I mean, they use that word. They actually say, I feel like I'm crazy because nobody seems to understand where I'm coming from. I feel like nobody else is experiencing this. And, here we are where we hear, hundreds and hundreds of cases all the time where, we can say, truthfully, you're not alone and you're not crazy. And the other part of that, welcome back, Nat. The other part of that is that they do feel very alone. They do feel that, they're struggling and suffering alone. And I think that just having that connection, that safe connection again with someone or a group of people is just so important to the healing process. And in fact, Dr. David Katz, I was just at a lecture of his the other day, and he had a really great quote that I shared with you guys at our morning rounds this morning, where he said, community is medicine. And I think that it's one of the most important things that's overlooked in healthcare, that, we think that, we can, name some disease and here's the drug for it and high five, see you never, hope you get better. And the reality is healing comes from community. Healing comes from a lot of things, but part of it is community. And when we expect our clients, our patients to navigate this complex world that we're in, where it's so easy to be sick and tired. I mean, it is so disturbingly easy to be sick and tired in this world that we live in. And then to just say, well, look how smart I am. I'm your doctor. I named it. Here's a drug. Hope you get better, and leaving them on their own. It's just almost a recipe for failure, and probably why American medicine fails as much as it does.
I agree. I think too, something that comes to mind also for anybody curious, my computer glitched out. I'm on my phone. I'll hop back to my computer in a second. But something that Dan and I have, there we go. Something that Dan and I have talked about a lot is listening to understand and not just listening to respond. That's something that I think we just kind of do automatically a lot of times, and to just intentionally, like, really, actively listen to what they're saying so you can understand them. And a lot of times in health coaching too, we will repeat back what they said to us, so we ensure their understanding. But it's also helpful for them to hear it from another person, like, this is what I heard, is that still accurate? And then they can have even a deeper understanding of whatever we're chatting about. But listening to understand, not just listening to respond.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a good point. I have to watch that so often, the pressure of like, I need to have a idea or solution. It's like, not necessarily. We have time on our side. Understanding the opportunity for understanding can only happen in the moment. The opportunity for what do we do about it, we can sit on that for a bit, so that's the priority there. Yeah. One thing too, just wanted to touch on, I think we probably have skirted around it a bit, but just if not explicitly stated, we've been talking a lot about importance of being understood, non-judgmental environment, and kind of relationship there, and communication. shared some examples what some other people have done to establish even just like long distance support with their friends. But one of the other things, one of the qualities we want in a main support person is that they're able to communicate regularly with you and you with them about what your goals are, what your goals are, where you need accountability. And so one of the benefits of a main support person isn't just from them, but for you, you now need to be very specific on what do you actually need? What do you actually need help with in the first place? Because you don't know that, you won't be able to communicate that and convey that to your main support person so they know how to help you. It's just basically, you know, take situation A of, hey, you know, I need a lot of help with my health, and you know, I'd love for you to kind of, you know, help me out here. Oh, that's great, cool. You know, what do you need help with? Well, I don't know what I need help with. You know, it's like, okay, I don't know how to help you then. And it sounds obvious, but sometimes we have vague notions of where we need help. Like, okay, I know I need to clean up my diet, or I need to drink more water, right? Or man, I'm just like really stressed and I just feel overwhelmed all the time. So we kind of know where we need help, but something that's specific that person can follow up with you on. You get very specific there, which is why we often talk about SMART goals at Epic. You know, something that's specific, it's measurable, is it realistic, achievable for you? So it's in the realm of reality. You know, why does this goal matter to you in the first place? And how long do you want to work on this thing before you reassess and revisit it and see, is this still what I need most of this time to focus on or not? And so being really specific there, then that gives your main support person clarity to go, hey, how is that insert, you know, very specific thing going right now? Instead of, hey, how are you doing? Which is so vague, it's easy to brush it off and give a vague answer, and they might think you're doing great when maybe you're not. And so I'll give an example here. I know for me, Natalie was doing a sleep workshop for me where I was getting to process with her how my sleep routines were going, my bedtime routine, my morning routine. And I just, from that conversation with her, came to the realization, you know, came back to realization. I was like, you know what? I wish I could be independent, autonomous in my self-discipline to just get up on time. Like, I wish that I had my own means to do that. And I had a moment of humility of, I don't know why, but gosh darn it, I just have to have somebody get me out of bed. Like literally, it came back to realizing, you know what, I'm going to make peace with that. Like maybe I'll never be independent in this area of my health and habits, but hey, we all need help from people and community, right? And so that's okay thing. And then telling my wife, all right, you officially have my permission to, when that alarm goes off and I put my phone in the room, she gets up before I do. And I was like, you officially have my permission now to, it's 7:05 a.m. When that goes off, to go into the room and do whatever you got to do. And so, you know, I told clients, I'm like, sometimes I just need, by sometimes I mean almost every day, I need a foot in the back to be shoved out of bed. And it sometimes literally happens that way. It's a slow, like, if I don't catch myself, I'm gonna, you know, ragdoll flop onto the floor, and is what it is. So, but if I just told her I just need help with, you know, my morning routine, what does that mean? Instead, I gave her something very specific that she could follow through on or ask me about. In this case, it was an action step, just straight up accountability. So it just depends on the situation. But I knew this is what I need, and now I conveyed it to her. She could do something about it, and it's helping. So
Yeah.
I like that a whole lot.
That's good. But yeah, I think that is helpful because it sets clear expectations on both ends. And, you know, it's helping you already to, you know, wake up or kind of stick to that goal that you had set. And yeah, we can all ask for help every now and again. So yeah, it's easier said than done.
I think it's good to ask for help. You know, I mean, it's in part of
Yes.
my morning setup is looking through, you know, my day. I mean, and I've talked with you guys about this too, and you guys know that I'm a fanatic about, you know, checklists and things. And on my checklist, my daily checklist is, where can I ask for help? You know, where actually can I reach out and get help with something today? And I think it's a good exercise for all of us. I think that, you know, we're all so conditioned to take care of others and prioritize others and other things first, well before ourselves, and especially our health, that, you know, very often we forget to just simply ask for help and give ourselves the grace that we need to say, hey, it's okay that I'm asking for help. I deserve help
Mhm.
too. So Dan, I love that. And I really appreciate the idea of a foot in your back and a rag doll flopping on the floor.
A literal foot in the back.
Well, well, I'd love to, with some of the time we have left here, just hear from you guys too. What are some other ideas of, let's say, because this is true for so many folks out
Mhm.
there, where it's like, I wish I had a main support person, but I'm not quite sure who that is, or I have an idea, but you know, they're on the other side of the country, or something like that. Like we don't connect very often.
Yeah.
They don't have that like, hey, I've got a roommate or a spouse or a friend down the street, that kind of situation.
Mhm.
What could be some ideas that help create that relationship or establish that main support person
Mhm.
connection?
I'll let you go first, Dr. B. I've got a couple ideas too.
Yeah, well, I just have one springing from our morning rounds this morning too, where we are so fortunate at Epic to have, our private client group, which is separate from this group, called the OWL. I think it's just called the OWL. It's just OWL group.
Optimal
Yeah.
wellness for
Yeah.
lifetime, but yeah,
Yeah, OWL community. That's what it is, the OWL community, right? So optimum wellness for life, right? And what I love about that, and we have to remind, because again, we all need to be reminded to ask for help, guys. And that's not anybody's fault. That's just our conditioning. That's our cultural conditioning. And one of the things that we do remind our private patients that are in there, that community is for them to make connections as well. So what's cool about a community like that is that you can literally, we are doing the encouraging, we're posting something saying, hey, is your main support person maybe not quite living up to their agreement, or do you need another ear, just comment below, talk amongst yourselves, connect with each other. And I really like that. So I think that there can be some really good communities that are out there to meet other people that are going through very similar, states and, need really the same support. And it's kind of cool to see our clients connecting with each other and getting to know each other and supporting each other in all of those behind the scene ways that are far beyond what even we could do with our awesome virtual practice. But, just even beyond that. So I think that's cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and kind of along with that, it kind of touches into our question of the day, which really just asks, who is your main support person? How, what specifically do you do to support each other? And then there's another question that, if you don't currently have a main support person, who could you initiate conversation with to begin that rapport building process? So I'm going to challenge you guys. If you don't currently have, a main support person or someone, check out the comments of my question of the day after this post. And, of course, not everyone is willing to, build a friendship out of this kind of Facebook group that we have. But, I'm sure there are some people that, would love to make new friends. And everyone in this group is, we're all pretty like-minded, health, driven people. And, yeah, I know it's kind of scary, making new friends and trying to build those connections, but yeah, you never know. Maybe your new best friend could be a member of this group. So that's one idea, just a little challenge along with that too. But something that me and my family have used is an app called Marco Polo. And basically, it's sort of like you can leave like video messages for someone, and you can even have groups up to 200 people, which sounds crazy.
Jeez.
But yeah, I don't know how that would work really, but basically you send like sort of like little video messages to each other, and they, your conversation saves. It's not like Snapchat where it goes away after you watch it once. It's always there. You can respond on your own time. So, yeah, I know everyone has kind of different schedules, so you can hop on when you're able to. You can watch, even look back to see what you said, see what they said, respond back to them. It's just kind of a fun, weird app that we found that I started using during COVID times. And it's just kind of fun because, again, everyone can interact at their own time. But it's also nice. I know my mom always she likes to see my face and hear my voice, and phone calls just aren't always the same, but to be able to see each other, it's just a bit more personal. So that's a really random one. Again, the app is called Marco Polo. Um, yeah, and if that sounds interesting, it's free. You can check it out.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that idea. I think that especially if the connection with the main support person or that potential main support person, if you need to, like you said, Natalie, in the challenge, start seeking who's the list of people and building that rapport, reestablishing more of that connection. How important it is to have as much, use as much to your advantage with the technology we have these days. Like, hey, if we can see each other's face and hear each other instead of, just hearing each other, like, go for it, right? I think like most people would agree, especially, after, COVID started, like being on a call on video is better than just being on a call, and et cetera. And so there have been times like independent of COVID, just, I'll be like, oh, it's best friend growing up from high school, in high school, like his birthday today. And like, oftentimes it'd be like, just text happy birthday or something. And I'm like, what if I mean, gosh, the technology we have these days and our smartphones, like I can, with this almost pretty much the same level of effort, like do a video saying, hey man, hope you're doing well, and it meant so much to him. He's like, oh my gosh, you're like, that was like the best thing ever. And or I'm gonna call my folks, like you do it a FaceTime instead of just calling. And I think any opportunity to use video, if it's in your means with technology, internet speed, rates, all that stuff, can't hurt. So.
Yeah. And one more just kind of fun point on that, kind of what I think would be cool, through Marco Polo or any other kind of video sort of app. It could be cool for like accountability too. Like if you had a little workout group or maybe, a friend group or something, and one person could post like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. And then as, everyone else watches it, they can post what they're doing. And I don't know, that's just a fun like idea that just came to mind. But
What
I know
just popped in,
technology isn't always for
well,
everyone.
hey, what just popped in my head is that, for those members, for those people that are not our clients that are watching this, so like our non-clients, our non-patients, we love you. And for our clients, you might have experienced this before. Dan and Natalie and I get together regularly, at least once a week for a couple of meetings, and we do brainstorming sessions, kind of like this, where we come up with quirky ideas. And this sounds like a quirky idea that I have a feeling we'll end up doing something with,
But
with
it
our
just
clients.
might work. It sounds so crazy, but it just might work.
Right. So we
I
might
mean,
see this
hey.
implemented with our patients, which is pretty fun,
Right.
Yeah.
You never know. And yeah, I think especially with COVID, I mean, we've had no choice but to get creative with how we stay connected with people.
Right.
So yeah, whether it's phone calls or just a little Facebook post or whatever you do, just yeah, encouraging that community aspect of it. And, yeah, I think kind of challenging ourselves too, because I think when we think of main support people, of course we think of like, again, like our spouse or our closest friend, but maybe there's a health-minded coworker that would really love, your support and would love to support you. I think thinking outside of the box a little bit too, and even like, Melissa, um oh gosh, what's her title? I don't
Official
enrollment
title.
enrollment helper
Assistant,
assistant.
I
Cool.
think. Yeah.
She mentioned this morning that, Dan kind of encouraged her with that to think outside of the box too. And she's like, yeah, I have, a couple uncles that I think would be great and would also love for me to connect with them more. So it's kind of like a win-win, but not someone that she initially thought of. So yeah, just think about it. Oh, thanks, Dr. B. I knew it was enrollment, but I'm like, I don't want to get it wrong.
So for
We
those
love
of you
you
guys wondering
anyways.
about context, it's not that Natalie's clueless or anything. I was just close to a newer position, so we were all trying to catch up what the name is anyway.
Right. Like enrollment coordinator, enrollment
A
assistant,
lot
like
of,
enrollment manager.
synonyms.
She's an enrollment
She's great.
assistant. So we love her. Anyways.
Well, I kind of start to wrap us up here, just a little overview. We've talked about, again, just what are the qualities in a main support person, specific qualities to look for or establish, and have some communication expectations built around that is that you feel really clear about what you need support with in the first place, right? What are your specific goals or the ways, things you want to be kept accountable in, and what way would be most helpful for you to be accountable in? Like, what does that accountability look like? And then that they're not judgmental, they're overall encouraging. They listen first more than just offering like, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Right. And then also too, there was that, handout called the main support person agreement, which again, if you guys, post on the question of the day, challenge of the day, we'll get those resources and handouts to you. But you can easily just make your own as well, of having something clear where you and that person have an understanding of what does that level of support look like, so you don't feel under supported or over supported, and that person doesn't feel like they are, stepping into your boundaries too much or being too not negligent, but just not involved enough.
Yeah.
You know, that can be really healthy in that relationship as well. And use the technology to full leverage, right? Do video if you can instead of, you know, just text or phone. But whatever works for you and your main support person or potential main support person, whatever that both of you agree on, that's what's going to work best, right? And whatever you can be consistent with. So the question of the day is a challenge for you guys, as Natalie said. I'll just restate it. She's going to post this right after this video, and encourage to hear you guys in the community post and share your thoughts. But who is your main support person, or what specifically do they do to support you? What does that look like? What ways do you communicate or stay connected with each other to be on track? And so that's for you guys who, if you do have a main support person, you know, I'd love to hear your thoughts there. But if you don't, then kind of the other side of that question or challenge is, who could you initiate communication with to begin building that rapport? So maybe your first step is, hey, this week, my personal challenges, I'm gonna list off people that I feel like I have a good connection with, that maybe if I start up a conversation, you know, friendly, lend to ear, and go from there, and then see who would I like to, you know, mention I'd love some help with, and set that up. So it could just be very bare bones, like first step there. All right, well, Natalie, Dr. Bradley, you guys have any other thoughts before we wrap up today's Wellness Day?
You know, yeah, just again, encouraging you to ask for help when you need it. I know it's not always easy, but you know, you've got a community here with us at the least. And yeah, we just encourage you to, you know, get creative, think outside of the box a little bit. And yeah, again, just find a community. And I know it's going to be helpful in supporting you in your journey, wherever you're at there. So
And I would just totally say ditto to all of that. I think that you guys nailed so much down. You know, I can get long-winded sometimes, so I'll just say that I think, you know, reach out for help. Remember to ask for help. You're not alone, and you know, you've got a good community here. And you know, I always invite all of you guys to feel free to message me, you know, privately if you really, you know, are feeling stuck. I promise you that, you know, we have good ears and we're good listeners, and we're good at fixing things too, as Dan said. So, you know, we're here for you, and don't ever feel shy. We're literally a message away.
Cool.
indeed.
All right, everybody, have a
Awesome.
great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for the next day's Wellness Week.
Awesome, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.